Hey, I'm Hannah Weiss, the Director of Education at the Science Museum of Western Virginia, and this is your Moment of STEM. And this week, we're going to talk about the banana apocalypse, which is a phrase I am really excited and horrified to be able to use. Also, turns out, the one that we're currently in the middle of, not the first one. So, when I'm talking about a banana apocalypse, what I'm actually talking about is the fact that bananas are susceptible to this fungal disease. And we are starting to lose them worldwide because Cavendish bananas, the bananas that you find in supermarkets, are really, really affected by this thing. It's called Panama disease or Panama disease tropical race 4. And Cavendish bananas are very susceptible to them. They kind of start to wilt the banana trees themselves. And even though the bananas that are produced by trees that are affected are still human safe to eat, eventually the bananas stop being produced. So it means that affected plantations will kind of start running out of bananas. And this is a disease that we've known about since about the 1990s. And until very, very recently, it hasn't been in the Americas. Most of the bananas that are eaten in the United States come from the Americas. They come from Latin America. Unfortunately, just this summer, it was announced that some bananas have been found with this tropical race 4 in the Americas, which is not great news. The fungal disease is really, really hard to kind of stop the spread of, right? If a plantation is infected, it's really likely that it's been infected for a while. And fungicides don't work. The way that this infection gets into and affects the bananas is that it's in the soil, it's in the dirt. And it really stops them from taking up water. They basically start to wilt. Unfortunately, it takes a while of this fungal disease being in the dirt before you start to see any effects in the plants. So though we've started quarantining affected plants and we've started kind of being really careful about the ways that people are moving through these plantations, it may be too little too late, ultimately. Now this has happened once before. Before we ate Cavendish bananas, we used to eat something called the Gross Michael banana or Big Mike. Unfortunately, that banana was really, really susceptible to something called tropical race or tropical disease 1. So like a precursor to what we're currently seeing. And the end result was this type of banana vanished from the markets. We stopped being able to produce enough of it for global trade. Luckily, we had the Cavendish to kind of step in and take its place. Unfortunately, with tropical race 4, with the current fungal infection, there's not really another banana around that fits all of the needs, right? One that's able to be shipped and kind of will keep its shelf life. Unfortunately, tropical race 4 is also really effective at infecting bananas. So the Cavendish banana is not the only type of banana out there. There are also plantains and all sorts of other bananas. But researchers have found that about 80% of the species are susceptible to this infection. So it may mean that bananas in the future will be harder to get a hold of. Interestingly, some of what makes bananas bananas is part of what's making it hard to combat this, right? Bananas are really weird, it turns out. We call them a tree, but technically they're kind of a woody herb. And bananas aren't really fruits, they're berries, which is crazy to think about. Most of the bananas that we eat also, they're basically clones. They're not producing by, pollinating the flowers and them growing. They're clones. So it makes it very hard to create new varieties of banana that might be able to withstand this fungus. Of course, researchers are working on it, and hopefully they will find a way to have a banana that can stand up to this fungus. But it's really interesting to think that not only are we currently in the middle of banana apocalypse, we've actually already lived through one. If you'd like to know any more about tropical race 4 or bananas themselves, you can check out any of the links below. Otherwise, I'm Hannah Weiss from the Science Museum of Western Virginia. And I would be really sad to see bananas go.